Good morning and welcome to the September edition of the Downtown Aviation Economy and Innovation Subcommittee. I'm Daniel Valenzuela. I'm honored to chair this subcommittee. I'm also the council member in District 5, and I'm joined by my colleagues to my right, Councilwoman Thelda Williams out of District 1 and Vice Mayor Laura Pastor, District 4. And I know in the room and someone who will join us for one particular item of interest is Councilwoman Kate Gallego, who will be coming back. And I'll explain when Councilwoman Gallego joins us. And we'd also like to welcome Vice Mayor Good for being here. Thank you so much for everything you continue to do for our city, sir. Thank you for being here. So the first agenda item is the call to the public. It's a reminder. It's more than symbolic, but it is our reminder that the public gets the first and the last word of this particular subcommittee. If you wish to speak, you just got to fill out a yellow card, and that is at the beginning or the end of the meeting, and of course, in any particular item that you'd like to speak in. Now, we don't have any cards for this beginning, the initial call to the public. We'll move on to the meeting minutes.
I move approval.
That's approval of the June 7th minutes. We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we'll go on to the consent items. These are items 2 through 5. Do we have a motion, or would any of my colleagues like to take anything out of order?
I move approval.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Or take your time.
Move approval.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second for the consent items. These are items 2, 3, 4, and 5. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we'll move on. We'll move on to item 6, state statute regarding filling a protest to require 3/4 vote. Text amendment. We have Mr. Stevenson here. You can introduce your team.
Thank you, Chairman Valenzuela. I have with me Trish Gomes and Ms. Rossell Escalar from the Planning and Development Department, who are working on a couple of these items here this morning. This first item is a text amendment to the zoning ordinance to comply with a new state statute that changed the 3/4 vote requirements to trigger a supermajority of the City Council to approve a change of zoning. It is a statewide change that became effective earlier in August. This text amendment just updates our ordinance to be in compliance with that statute change. This map here shows you under the old language, this is how you could trigger a 3/4 vote on a site if you had the rezoning sites shaded here in the middle. And under those rules, you had to have 20% of any one side. So those two properties that are shaded in pink, they were more than 20% of one side, so you could trigger a 3/4 vote under the old statute. And the streets did not count in the way that was measured. Ms. Gomes is going to walk us through the changes pursuant to the state law, and then we'll answer any questions.
Oops. So using that same example or location, under the new statute, the rezoning areas in the hatched area, and so you would have to measure 150 feet out from the property, and you'd have to calculate 20% of that land area, which now includes the right-of-way. So you have to meet two criteria. You have to meet 20% of the land area to trigger the 3/4 vote and 20% of the number of lots. So in this example, if you see in the box area here, only 1% of the land area with the 2 lots that were originally included in this request made for that area. And then there's 47 lots within this 150-foot buffer. And so only 4% of the number of lots were calculated. So in showing you what with the new statute would require to meet both of those standards, because both the area and the number of lots would need to be met in order to trigger the 3/4 vote, where you can see, apologize. Here you can see all of the pink area is the number of lots that would need to sign the petition in order to trigger, and the land area at 21% would meet that requirement.
Question?
And with that, we're asking for a recommendation of approval of TA 14, TA 417.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Pastor, do you have a question?
Could you go back to slide 4? So you're saying that all around where the red is required, it's 100%?
So the area in red is the area that we must meet the 20% inside. So all of this land area would be calculated.
Yeah, what, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, to point at this side over here, this red area is the 150-foot boundary, is this red line. And under the new language, the street does not count, so it moves this line in closer, where the old language, you went to the other side of the street, then you went down to get your 150 feet. And so, with the street counting, that makes this red line, closer in.
Smaller in.
Smaller in, correct.
Okay.
And then with the requirement for the property by area and number of lots, in order on this example to get the 20% threshold, all the properties in pink would have to sign the 3/4 vote petition in order to trigger those requirements.
So you have to get 100%?
Yes,
Okay.
in this example. There are other odd-shaped parcels that might, but the gist of it is it's significantly more difficult to trigger 3/4 vote.
Yeah. So it's harder and it's less, it's more condensed, I guess, is what I'm saying, thinking.
Yeah, the line for the 150 feet is moved in. So less properties further away are eligible to be included. And then you have a higher standard for those that are included, because then it's the number of lots, tracts, condos, and the property by area.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman, of course.
We don't have a choice, do we?
Chairman Bosway, Councilwoman Williams, we do not. State law passed it, and we are required to comply with state law. All this is doing is updating our ordinance to comply with that state statute. It became effective that first week in August, and so those are the rules that we're applying today. This will just make it cleaner and easier for everyone to know and understand.
Okay, so I move approval.
Second.
So we don't get a choice, but it does require an action to comply, right?
Yes, because we have a zoning ordinance that mirrored the old state law language. So we'd be effectively telling the public there's one standard, that's the old one, but really the state statute trumps that, and that's the newer, more restrictive one if council doesn't approve this.
Gotcha. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We have no cards on this item. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you very much. So move on to item 7, 2018 Downtown Enhanced Municipal Services District Work Plan and Budget. Ms. Chris Mackey and her team, how are you?
Good morning, Chairman and Council members. We are here today to talk to you about our annual process for the approval of the Enhanced Municipal Services District. With me here today is Project Manager on the Economic Development Team, Terry McAvoy, Dan Clockey, the President of Downtown Phoenix Partnership, and Samantha Jackson, the Operations Manager for Downtown Phoenix, Inc. We are here today to talk to you about the process. As you'll remember, this district was created in 1990, and it was created by the property, at the request of the property owners. The property owners do sit on the board of the Downtown Phoenix Partnership, and the property owners who pay the tax that we're to talk to you about today do set the work plan, they do set the budget, and they do set the agenda. But it is council's role to approve the items that they take forward. With that, I'll turn it over to Dan Clockey, who will walk you through this year's proposed work plan and budget. Dan?
There we go. Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, thank you for your time this morning. I know you're all pretty familiar with the Downtown Phoenix Partnership and the work that we do. So I'll touch briefly on it in the presentation today, and if you have any questions regarding the proposed budget, I'd be happy to answer those. So as Chris said, this is the Enhanced Municipal Services District. I think the key point here is that the people who are on the board of directors are the ones setting the policy, setting the budget, and these are the stakeholders within the district. In terms of the timeline, it is a pretty lengthy timeline in order to get the feedback that we need from our stakeholders and obviously go through the formal city council process. In June, the draft budget was approved by our board of directors, and now we're entering the formal council process. So each year, Sam and I go out and sit down with every board member. We want to find out three things from them. One, what's their vision to downtown? Where do they want to see downtown go in the coming year and beyond? Second, do our programs tie into that vision? Are we making sure that what you want to see happen dials in with the work that we're doing? And third, how do we allocate those resources in order to most effectively do the program that they want to see happen? So this year, it's a little off there, but this year, the things that the board members spoke about were honestly quite similar to the previous year. There are three top things that they wanted to emphasize. First, they really wanted to continue focusing on the public realm. And by that, I mean sort of the ground plane of downtown. That's where the action happens in downtown, whether it's the restaurants and the retail, whether it's the walkability of the sidewalks and the shading, the public art, all the things that are happening there. That's where downtowns, great downtowns happen. So they want us to continue on that. Second, a very strong focus continuing on events and marketing. The events are bringing a lot of people to downtown, obviously not only supporting the event, but the restaurants that are here, and really getting the word out about downtown Phoenix more and more. And the third thing was, what's next? We've had a great run here. We're in the middle of another sort of fabulous year in downtown. What can we do coming up in the future to make sure that that energy level continues? So our mission, as I've already talked a little bit about, is really about curating that public realm. And what does that mean? It means just having a great environment in downtown. So it means having experiences and interactions, that is with the restaurants and the retail, making sure that the streets and the sidewalks are full of people with events and festivals so that downtown is always vibrant. We want to make sure that when people are walking along, it's interesting, there's public art, there's shade, and that it is generally a great experience for people, whether they work down here every day or they're visiting at the convention center. And finally, we need to get the word out. The story of downtown Phoenix has really grown into something special in the last few years. We need to keep touting that so that Chris can keep bringing in more and more companies like she's doing. So, excuse me. So we have different program areas in the partnership, and I'd like to just briefly run through sort of the proposed work plan for 2018 based on this budget. So the operations department that Sam runs really is our biggest program that we have. And there are three main areas that we want to focus on. I've already touched on sort of the public realm enhancements. Again, the shading, the public art. We're creating little vignettes is what we're calling them. So it's hard to see, but that top drawing up there is Central and Adams. This past a couple months ago, we redid all the streetscape on the southeast corner of Central and Adams, where there are a tremendous number of employees and hotel guests that walk over to the convention center. We are looking at the northwest corner right now where the Dunkin' Donuts is. There's a huge sidewalk. It's quite honestly covered with news boxes. It's not really attractive. We want to create a little area where folks can stand at standing tables, grab a cup of coffee, answer an email, and just sort of gather in downtown. The other thing that we know is incredibly important is the issue of homelessness. We're dealing with that citywide. I know the city is really working hard at that. This past year, we actually had a contract with Community Bridges, Inc., with one of our ambassadors to go out and engage with the homeless in downtown to try to get them into services. We will continue with that effort this year, this coming year, and I know that the city obviously has already contracted with CBI to do more work as well citywide. So we want to continue that effort and really educate our stakeholders on how to work with the homeless. And finally, we need to continue working with the police department in terms of enforcement and the repeat offender program. The last thing I want to talk about is with operations. It's really supporting a lot of city initiatives that are going on. You all are doing some great work with broad programs throughout the city. We want to leverage that work and really enhance it in downtown. So we're going to have a new parking meter company overseeing those. We want to get the word out so that it's easy for people to use those meters. We're working closely with Public Works. We had the big belly trash cans that went in this year. These are the solar compactor trash cans. We're saving time and money for Public Works by installing those because they're not having to be picked up so often. We're diverting a lot of waste into the recycling stream as opposed to the waste stream. There's a lot of bike lanes going in. We need to augment that bike culture in downtown by adding more bike racks and services for bikes. And then we want to focus on an emergency management plan so that if something does happen in downtown, our property managers are dialed directly into the police, that we can get them all the communication and all the information that they need ASAP. The next big sort of chunk of the budget is the events and marketing program. Again, this is reinforcing what we've been doing for the last few years, leveraging up the activities, the festivals, the events that are happening down here, helping those events work through the different processes that they need to go through in order to have a safe and successful event. We are now working very, very closely with the CVB and the Convention Center. This is a huge economic driver for downtown. We need to make sure that they are having success. And so our head of marketing is now actually going out with the CVB on a few trips to try to recruit new conventions to downtown. Our team probably knows the amenity package better than anybody down here, and that's increasingly important to these conventions, that the downtown offers an opportunity for their conventioneers. And finally, then, they're going to work on some of this bike culture things that I've been mentioning here in terms of getting some artistic bike racks and some other fun things like that out. The third department I wanted to talk about just briefly is the Economic Development Department. And I know this is really important, obviously, from this committee's role. 3 words: density, technology, and revenue. That's what we're about in the Economic Development Department. That's what we need to drive in downtown. So what do I mean by that? A couple different things. First, this year, we are doing a lot of research in terms of the return on investment in downtown. The businesses that are coming, the generation of sales tax revenue, we want to find out exactly what that number is so that we can continue to grow that number over time. And then we're going to promote that out of all the things that are happening to the national stage. So I said, Chris is doing a great job bringing in all these technology companies. We're going to continue to work on some of the smaller ones that are being birthed and galvanized, and all these different entities out there to get them to stay in downtown once they've grown. The other thing we're doing is we're actually going out and giving presentations to all the new employees at these companies that Chris is bringing in, so that they know about the amenity package in downtown and they go out and they use the restaurants and the bars. So we're actually taking them on some pub crawls and introducing them all the great things in downtown. And we do this in order for them to feel welcome in downtown and to get the word out to other companies so that they too come down here. I've already mentioned working with the Convention Visitors Bureau. We know our role here is to drive business. And so we want to make sure that those seats in the restaurants are full, and we want to offer an amenity package to the conventioneers that makes them want to come back next year and the year after. Finally, I know it seems like there's a lot of vacant land still in downtown, but there actually isn't that much left. And we need to be smart about how we use that land. So we're going to be strong advocates to try to recruit developers for mid-rise and high-rise development so that we more efficiently use that land while simultaneously making sure that we have the vintage buildings and the historic buildings that offer the character down here. So we're going to work hard at that as well. I think one of the things that isn't necessarily on a work plan, but it's really important from the business that we do, are some of the intangibles. And by that, I mean that we're a small and flexible organization, so we can do a lot of different things very quickly. So for instance, a monsoon comes through, a couple trees come down, the news racks get blown into the street. It's our crew that's out there picking them up before the employees are here in downtown. I already mentioned CBI and working with them. This picture here of Don Olin, who's worked for us for 20 years, he's removing 2,000 to 3,000 tags every single year in downtown. So, which makes downtown look good, and is something, quite honestly, that the city doesn't need to worry about then. Political rallies, things pop up quickly. Obviously, we had a presidential visit a few weeks ago. It was our team that was out there filling the water barricades before the protests. It was our team out there trimming the trees around the convention center that were concerning for the convention center in terms of a safety perspective. So we can jump in there and do those kind of things quickly, and really make an impact and sort of smooth out some of the edges, is what I'm saying, of some of these things that are happening. And obviously, any of the conventions that are in town, we're working closely with them. So this is the proposed budget then for 2018. I know you've seen this before, but you'll see the bulk of it is in bid services and streetscape improvement. That's the operations department. So it's roughly $2.3 million. We're trying to push as much money into the streets to get things done out there where the public is as we can. The other big chunk then are the events and marketing. So those two combined departments is what our board is asking for. And so we are pushing money into those departments from some of the other areas within the Downtown Phoenix Partnership. So the proposed budget then for this coming year, for 2018, is roughly $3.8 million. We know that this is a significant increase, 4.79% in a year when there's concerns about budgets. What I can tell you is that 4.79% is roughly $175,000 increase. All of these things that we've been talking about, that's where those funds are going. It's all going into operations and marketing. And so we want to create more streetscape programs and projects. We want to support the convention center more. We want more public art. We're doing all of this without hiring any additional personnel. All these funds are going out into the public realm because we know that that's what's important. We are able to save some money on the overhead side because we can spread out some of these costs between the various entities under Downtown Phoenix, Inc., with the partnership being one of them. And we're trying to augment all the city programs that are out there that you see here listed on the right-hand side. So I know what's important is how does this impact the city budget in particular the general fund. So the bulk of the costs from the city to the partnership actually flow through some of the different entities that are out there. And so it's the Phoenix Biomedical Campus, the Convention Center, and the sports fund. So the general fund would have an increase of roughly 6.4% or $22,000 from 2017 to 2018. What I can say is that these numbers are from May, and in between May and now the Barrister Building sold, so that will actually drop from the $22,000 increase by roughly $9,000. So I know in a tight budget, it's a concerning thing, but we think we're adding a lot of value and doing a lot of things that normally the city government would be doing. So the city spent hundreds of millions of dollars on downtown over the last 10 to 15 years. We need to make sure there's a strong ROI on that investment. I think as you look out at what's been happening over the last few years and where we're trying to go in the next few years, you'll see that that is starting to happen. So we obviously had this sort of triad of major events that everyone's talked about over the last few years. We now have 11 hotels in downtown that are either built or under construction, 3,800 rooms. We're becoming a big convention town with this amount of hotel rooms that we wouldn't have dreamed of 5 to 7 years ago. We have 90 net new restaurants, and including 10 new ones on the books, lots of residential going in. You can see the statistics up there. All of these things are generating sales tax revenue, rental tax revenue that are going directly into the city coffers. So I would ask, oops, did my last slide go away? What's that? So the last slide actually was for your support in this draft budget. This is obviously the first part of a longer process with the full city council. We will be back to the full council in October and November for the entire process. But we would ask that for your support for this budget and if you have any questions.
Any, one second. I don't have any cards from the public. Any questions from my colleagues? I have a couple, but I'll defer to my colleagues first. Councilwoman.
I just
Williams.
wanted to tell you, I think you do a tremendous job.
Thank you.
You have been a key element in making our downtown come alive and be a place to go to. It didn't used to be that way, even 10 years ago. It was quite stark, but now it's a joy. And I appreciate all that you do, and I think from the city's perspective, it's a bargain. You do all the work, and we don't put in that much money, and it's all the property owners. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
Any other questions, Vice Mayor? I have a couple. Or you want to go ahead first?
My question is, the increase will be coming out of what budget? Is it, did I hear correctly, out of the general fund budget?
Chairman, Vice Mayor, it actually, the lion's share of it actually comes from private property owners through
Okay.
their increase in their property taxes. The city's portion is about $22,000, and that will come out of the convention center, who has their focus on our portion. Our economic development budget, we pass through to our private tenants, which is ASU and U of A and others. So the budget itself, our budget, where we see the outgo, we see the greatest portion of it actually come back in a rent that we charge to our tenants.
So then we won't be using general fund budget?
We will be using a small portion of general fund budgets to make it go out. Terry, it's approximately 50% will be coming from the economic development general fund budget for that portion. The balance will be paid for by ASU and U of A. And
What I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm hearing this wrong, is that we will pay, because it says 2018 general fund assessments. There's a 22,000 increase. So you're asking us to increase the budget 22,000. And then what I'm hearing is we increase it, then our tenants pay into the 22,000, and then it comes back to us?
Chairman, Vice Mayor, that's correct. So some of it is for properties that we, as the city, own, that are general funded properties, that economic development is still working to get out into private marketplace. As Mr. Clocky mentioned, Barrister was in the $22,000 analysis. At council's direction, we've since sold Barrister, so that'll be paid for by the private sector now. The increase for the general fund portion are for those properties that we do own. There are a few properties that we do own that we have tenants on, not many of them, but for the portion that we do have tenants, it will go out and we'll recoup the money back for the
Okay.
general fund. But the 22,000 is the increase that we do need to be able to cover those bills to DPP.
So, okay, so now I'm going to go to the Barrister building. We sold the Barrister building. It is just mentioned right now that this will decrease. What will the budget then be? Because shouldn't we be voting on, do you still need the 22,000, or is it, now that the Barrister's into play, should it be decreased?
Right, the budget will, Chairman, Vice Mayor, the budget does still say the same. It will change who's paying that 22,000. So what we'll do is we move towards your formal council meeting, we will adjust what portion comes out of the general fund budget for your vote and approval at your formal council meeting, because that portion will shift out of city fund, general fund budget, and will shift to private owner. We'll make that adjustment before your formal council meeting so that what you see in your legislative report will be that exact number. We've just recently sold the building, so we're running those calculations now.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have maybe a question, but comments. I also agree that this has been a really important organization for the growth of downtown Phoenix and the evolution of downtown Phoenix. I've mentioned this before. We're all part of this ecosystem, and you have government, local government. You have our education. We now have a presence from all three public universities right in downtown Phoenix. Of course, the private sector has really stepped in. I think in large part, several years ago, Cityscape, Red Development, those investments that have been made, and now Block 23 and what we can expect. Downtown Phoenix went from 60 tech companies just a few years ago in 2012 to about, I believe, 270 and counting now.
284 today, sir.
284. Chris Mackey works quickly. It was 270 just a few weeks ago, it seemed like. And I think of this organization and this effort as sort of this, the glue that kind of keeps everything together, because we are all working and we are, again, we're all part of this ecosystem, and government does what government does, and what we should be doing, breaking down barriers and opening the doors for the private sector to do what they do best. And of course, some of that had to do with getting ASU in downtown as an example, and bringing in more people who value downtown. Now you have more people who live downtown and so on. And your efforts are one of the biggest reasons that we got here today and where we're going tomorrow. And obviously that's a compliment, because we couldn't have done it. We can't do this without what you're doing for the city. Some of the photos that you put up, people, wiping out graffiti, it's a great photo, and I think a powerful photo. It's an understatement. And I think anyone who walks through downtown for lunch or for work or for an appointment or for fun, because we actually have that type of downtown now, they will see that for themselves. And so I appreciate what you continue to do. Speaking of that, now you track a lot of these numbers, and obviously you're asking for an increase, and I think you laid it out and why you think you need the increase. There are more people who live downtown. There are more people who work downtown. So we need to increase our efforts to move forward. Are you tracking, sales tax and some of the things that, I really believe you're part of the success story of downtown Phoenix. So that said, the more inviting it is, then the more people will actually come out and live here and work here and start their business here. 284 tech companies now, and that number continues to grow. Are you tracking that, and what does that look like from your viewpoint?
Chairman, members of the subcommittee, yes, we are tracking that. We actually have an arrangement with the finance department to look at sales tax for hotels and restaurant and bar in downtown. We have for many years. With the change in the state sales tax and the way, or the sales tax revenues and the way they're collected, we're working right now with the finance department to make sure that the numbers are accurate. There's been some, they just look at things a little bit differently at the state in terms of business licenses. And I think by in the next few weeks, we're going to get those new numbers, but we haven't been able to. And I'm sort of chomping at the bit to get them because we've had some good stuff happening. So, but the overall trajectory has been increasing dramatically over the last 7 to 8 years. And if I can pick my brain and remember, I believe between 2008 and 2015, the sales tax revenues in the EMSD went up about 92%. And so we are seeing that return. And that's just the sales tax. It doesn't include rent tax that comes from every property. It doesn't include construction sales tax. It doesn't include any of these other ticket sales tax. We have all these venues. So we're hopeful that in working with the finance department, we can get a better handle on all of those numbers so that you can feel confident, quite honestly, that the investments that you've made are returning great dividends for the city.
I agree, and that's also part of the story. The reason I asked that question is, again, there's a difference between a cost and an investment. And this is an investment, and I guess we could take any one line item for what it's worth, and not think of how it relates to the return on investment, and imagine what downtown Phoenix would look like if we never made the very first investment, or even recent investments like bringing light rail downtown and ASU downtown. There most likely wouldn't be a cityscape. We probably wouldn't have 284 tech companies today and moving forward. So anyway, that said, I'm supportive, and I'll entertain a motion if we have one.
Move approval.
A motion, I'll second it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you so much for your effort.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to good news.
Harbor.
Oh, yeah, the good news, true. We'll move on to item 8. The FAA flight path update. It's been a standing item at this subcommittee for more than a year, certainly. And 2 years. Steve Dreisenden is here. Mr. Dreisenden, congratulations and thank you for your effort. But, for more than a year or 2 years, it's been a standing item. Our city staff has been working diligently, obviously elected officials at every level. And I want to give a lot of credit to the local elected officials here that have been working diligently, but most importantly, people like Mr. Dreisenden and the neighbors who came out and continues to come out to press this particular issue. I think we have some good news to talk about today. So I'll hand it over to Mr. Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee. And as you indicated, Mr. Chairman, on August the 29th, the U.S. District Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia ruled in favor of the City of Phoenix in its lawsuit against the Federal Aviation Administration over the alteration of the flight paths into and out of Sky Harbor International Airport. It has been a long journey. The lawsuit itself has been underway for a little over 2 years, and the flight path changes will be coming up on a 3-year anniversary on September the 18th of this year. So it has been a long journey, and with that in mind, I just want to take this opportunity to thank the council and for all of their support and patience during this time period, as well as the community that has been impacted by this and their support and patience as we've gone through this very difficult process. I wish I could sit here in front of you today and tell you, okay, now that this lawsuit has been ruled in favor of the city, this is what's going to happen next. We do not know what the next steps are. We've been in consultation with our outside counsel and as well as the city attorney's office. We're still trying to understand what the next steps are. Obviously, the Federal Aviation Administration has an opportunity, if they so desire, to file for reconsideration by the court. That may be one of the paths that they desire to take, and they may not decide to do that, but they do have a period of time in which to do that. And so we're closely monitoring that and also trying to understand internally what our options might be moving forward. If they do not file for reconsideration, then we have to, obviously, we will be working with the FAA on what steps then do they take in order to implement the flight path changes that were mandated by the ruling. So I wish I could tell you something definite. I'll turn to Deborah Ostreicher, our Assistant Aviation Director, and Jordan Feld, our Deputy Aviation Director for Planning and Environmental, see if they have anything else that they can add to the conversation.
I think you've already taken Ms. Ostreicher's speaking point, so she,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to members of the council. I am as equally delighted with the news as is Mr. Feld, and again, want to reiterate our thanks to you and to our community for joining together and having the leadership that you did in order to make this happen. And as Mr. Bennett said, we don't really have any answers yet, but Mr. Feld and I came to the table today to answer any questions that we could from you or the community.
thank you. Any questions or comments?
What's the
Councilwoman?
waiting period for us to see if they're going to continue with this suit?
The federal agency, I believe, has up to 45 days in which they could file a motion for reconsideration. So that would put it somewhere probably in the middle of October if they so choose to file a motion. So we're pretty well.
Right, that's the
On
good news.
hold.
I was afraid you were going to tell me 6 months or something, and I was thinking the anticipation of what they're going to do, but that's fairly quick. But I want to thank you for your leadership and this, your tenacity, and I know that you went to great lengths to communicate and to set up email system and all that you did to keep in constant contact with the people and the families that were most affected. So it's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Vice Mayor, do you have any?
Well, congratulations. I think it's really a congratulations to the community and the community efforts that joined in the lawsuit because they did get together and organize themselves and hired lawyers to combat this. My question to you is, I've been reading, I want to say for a week now, complaints on the next door of, for whatever reason, the paths have changed or the flight paths, or they shifted a little bit. And I don't know if that's due to the weather or what is going on, but I am getting complaints. And so my first instinct is, yes, I'm hearing them. My second one is please call the noise hotline so we can continue to collect data. But I'm just curious because they're flying over neighborhoods that they normally don't fly over. So,
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Vice Mayor, you're absolutely right, and the community is right. This time of year, as the monsoons are coming in, we have elevated changes when it comes to weather, and as we look at the patterns from past years, we would see a similar pattern in these summer months where the flight paths change. They change not only the path that they take, but the direction. So if you're used to seeing certain flights coming in at the same time every day in a certain direction, this time of year, that same time of day, you probably see it in a different direction and also taking a different turn. The good news is that it's short-lived because it is primarily driven by the monsoon season. Okay. Anything to add?
So how does the aviation department get that out to Nextdoor? Because it's all over the Nextdoor app or page or that's how we communicate, obviously. So how do we get just information out to the community?
Great question, Vice Mayor, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. We do publish in our monthly report kind of that be aware you're going to see a shift because of weather patterns during this time period, but we do not directly reach out to the Nextdoor host, and that's something I think we probably could do just so that information is getting them directly aware. And to kind of follow on your thanks to the community, a huge thanks goes to the community in terms of getting a lot of the social media interest, the information that we would otherwise publish on the website. So we would also work with our community partners to make sure the different Facebook pages and whatnot are getting that info.
Yeah, because somehow, I don't know how it works. So somehow the city, I know the Phoenix Police Department sends stuff out. I know water sends stuff out. So I don't know how they get access, but I think you could probably figure that out.
Thank you.
But thank you.
We have one card. Steve Dreisesen.
Good morning. My name is Steve Dreisesen. I am a longtime member of a resident of the FQ Story Historic District and also a steering committee member of the Neighborhood Association. You've seen me a lot, but you've seen many of our community members at these gatherings and such. I'm here for a number of reasons, and I'll try to keep this brief. We do mark the almost the three-year anniversary of this change. The FAA dropped this bomb on us, so to speak, and created a huge sea change in our environment, in our community, without due process. We seem to be on a very good path to correct that. We obviously have a great deal of work in front of us. So I want to commend the committee. I want to commend the City Council. I especially want to commend the Aviation Department for all of their hard work. This has been a partnership on behalf of our city, on behalf of our residents, on behalf of our community. This is more than the historic districts. This is our entire community, our entire city. We are now at the forefront of this effort. This is now a national issue. And what we do here will have ripple effects throughout the country. I look forward to next steps. I look forward to a return to the public process that we once had, and I certainly look forward to the peace and tranquility that I think we're all entitled to. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for all of your effort. We will all agree, I believe, those of us who put statements out and talked about it, the common denominator here is absolutely the community. People will step forward. I know it's coming from our aviation department, so we thank you and all of your neighbors, our neighbors, for stepping up and for being part of the process, for leading the process, frankly. But I'm glad that you brought up our aviation department because you've been amazing. You know, our entire team, Mr. Bennett, as he points to Debo, you know, this was right before your time, Mr. Bennett, and you came here and you jumped right in, and you know, Debo Stryker, and our entire aviation team came together, and it was a really tough time. I don't have to remind many people, it was a tough time. We had neighbors who were very upset, and who still are, frankly, and we have who are calling elected officials who were very upset. and somewhere in there, you have city staff that has to balance all of that and move the ball forward and try to figure these things out. And you've been to countless meetings in each of our council offices, subcommittee meetings, formal meetings, but you've also been in many living rooms of people who live in the area, town halls. You've been to DC, you've met with our federal delegation there in DC multiple times. You really worked hard and you really make Phoenix look good in the aftermath of all of this, as Mr. Dressen said, when the FAA decided to make a unilateral decision. It really was, because we didn't get a due process. So obviously we're not finished. We have a lot of work to do, but it is important to take a step back in a moment like this and realize that we're all on the same page and we're doing things right. And I really want to thank our city staff for that. So, and thank you for agreeing to keep this on as an agenda item constantly to keep us updated on it. So thank you very much. We don't need, this is not an action item. As always, it's just informational. And do we have anything else? We're good?
They get to do the next one, though.
Oh, yeah, okay.
They're having so much fun, they want to stay.
They do want to
Item
stay.
9.
So we will move on to item 9. We have several speakers for item 9 and a lot of interest there. Okay.
Welcome.
So do we have a fourth council member?
Yeah, but I mean, did we advertise?
No.
So what are the
So
rules?
the explanation here is we did not expect, I believe we were
Yeah.
told that we would not have the fourth member of the subcommittee here, Councilman Nowakowski, who apparently has changed his mind, and will be joining us at any point by phone. We do have Councilwoman Gallego, who's been very, very close to this topic and has worked very, very diligently on this topic, who should be here, wanted to be here, and of course, we all wanted her here. But because of the rules and the way it works, if we already have a quorum, without posting it as a special meeting, unfortunately, we won't be able to have the councilwoman here for the item. But again, very unfortunate, and while we don't have Councilman Nowakowski on the phone quite yet, I want to extend an opportunity for the councilwoman to say a few words if she'd like. Please join us. I know that you've been working diligently with the community on this one, and
Thank you so much, Chairman. I had thought I'd be able to join you for this item, but I will have to depart when Councilman Nowakowski calls in to avoid violating the open meeting law. But I really did want to be here because this is of such importance to so many people in my community that I represent. It's something we've been working on, really for me, since before I was elected, but of enormous importance to the community. One of the most difficult areas we've worked on, but also one of the most exciting. It's one of the most important areas of our city with so many places of national importance. And this is an item that I think really has great potential once we are done and moving forward. And there's some exciting things in the plan that will do great things for the future of our city, but we still have some tough decisions to make. And I will, I guess, depart and let you make those tough decisions. And I'll be watching.
May I ask, is it possible to move this item to next month's agenda and advertise it accordingly?
that's a great question. We do have a quorum now. The fourth member has joined us. Councilman Nowakowski is on the phone. Had we known sooner, we would have posted this publicly as a special meeting because we would be going over the quorum. But given the change, I think it's appropriate to make a motion to postpone this particular item to next month's subcommittee, giving us a chance to publicly, put the information out so that Councilman Gallego can also join us. So if everyone is okay with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move a motion to move this to the October subcommittee.
We have a motion and a second. We'd have several cards, so I hope you all understand we're going to take the cards when we actually hear the item in October. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. For those of you who came out, I apologize. I want to make sure that everyone is heard. And that was a recent change, so we'll be sure to keep you all notified and up to speed on it. Okay, so we will move on to item 10, Group Home Working Committee update. We'll invite Mr. Stevenson back up and his team.
Thank you, Chairman Valenzuela, members of the subcommittee. I do, again, with me for the record, Ms. Rosel Escolar and Ms. Trish Gomes here to talk about our work with the Group Home Working Committee. As you'll recall, the council directed staff to have a committee work on these issues comprised of TAP residents, which is Take Action Phoenix, the neighborhood coalition that's working on this issue, fair housing advocates, folks who are residents of sober living homes, operators of sober living homes and other group homes, as well as the state agency members. And so we have put together that group. We've hired our outside consultant, and we've had a few meetings here. So you see these are the meetings that we have already had, and we're going to go through and kind of summarize those meetings in just a few minutes and provide a little bit more information. Our first meeting here that we had on June 12th, we invited Representative Noel Campbell. He represents the Prescott area, and he was the principal author of the Structured Sober Living Home state statute that got adopted a few years ago at the state level when Prescott was dealing with some of these sober living home issues. So he came in and talked to the committee during that first meeting. And we also spent some time really going over this Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals decision regarding Yuma County. And I really want to emphasize that for a minute because that plays into this whole discussion that the council will have over the fall, as well as what we're doing with that working group. But in that decision, a valid rezoning case that was denied by the city of Yuma was thrown out because testimony that was given that the Yuma City Council relied on when they made their decision was found to be discriminatory in that zoning case. And so that is one of the things that is really key in dealing with this particular population is all of these group home operators, whether they're sober living, homes for developmentally disabled, they're all protected class under the Americans with Disabilities Act. And so they have a right to be in our neighborhoods. The real discussion is just how do you make sure to have some regulations so that the people inside of those facilities are protected, they get the care and help that they need, and that will make them better able to not impact the neighborhood and their surrounding areas. And we also discussed our group home text amendment that was approved by council at that same time. With that, I'll give it to Ms. Escolar, who's going to kind of hit us the rest of the summaries, and I'll be back to summarize things.
So on June 21st, we hired a consultant, Mr. Daniel Lauber. He has extensive experience dealing with group home regulations, and he's worked with several other cities in helping them be compliant with their group home regulations. He participated in the second meeting through video teleconference, and he's basically providing expert legal guidance regarding the topic, and he has extreme familiarity with the relevant case law and has experience in several other cities. At the second meeting, we introduced Mr. Lauber, and he did provide input on all of the various topics that were covered. The first topic that we covered was a summary of concerns. We provided a prioritization of those concerns based on a survey that was provided at the previous meeting, and this established how we would move forward at each meeting. We also had the fire department staff there to provide information on the fire code and what fire codes were applicable to different types of group homes. And we also went through our current registration process for group homes for individuals with disabilities and our reasonable accommodation process. At our last meeting, last Thursday, we had the City Clerk Department and Neighborhood Services Department to explain the current licensing process. They also went over some potential options for licensing, ranging from just registration as we have it now to potentially a certification process or licensing. And they also went through challenges that may come up with all the various options. A Neighborhood Services Department went over their current enforcement process and some challenges with that as well. Our next scheduled meeting is October 9th. The concerns that we will be covering is a good neighbor policy, operations standards and regulations. We'll also have the Finance Department to present their current process on the transaction privilege tax, and we'll also cover parking issues and requirements. And I'll turn it over to Alan, where he'll discuss what will be covered at the last scheduled meeting.
What's our good neighbor policy? What do you mean by that?
We don't currently have one proposed, but there have been other cities that have established good neighbor policies, so we'll potentially look at those and what may be included in a good neighbor policy.
So the meetings to date have not focused on staff presenting recommendations. That's coming up at this last meeting on October 24th. It's more focused on looking at what other folks are doing out there with our consultant who's worked in other jurisdictions around the country, what Prescott did with their sober living ordinance, and that's where this good neighbor policy comes into place in terms of trying to educate folks on how to operate some of these facilities. And so that will be part of what will be discussed with the group. And then what will happen at this October 24th meeting that's probably going to get moved back a week or two. Our consultant just let us know he has a conflict on this 24th, but we'll reschedule that with the group. But what will come out of that discussion is we will talk about the data that we've collected so far and come back with some recommendations based upon the work that the committee has done over the summer, where we talked about licensing, looked at all kinds of different ways that we can regulate these more. We will then have those recommendations, share those with the committee at that time, get some final input from them, and then we'll come back to the subcommittee, we'll be here next month as well, because Chairman Valenzuela wants a monthly update on this. I think he was looking for something in the wake of the FAA decision to have a monthly item show up. But so we'll be here to give updates along the way, but our current timeline that we're targeting is to have something to you, to the subcommittee by that first week in December, your meeting in November, if we can get there, and then have the full council take action by the end of the year to provide guidance to staff on exactly what we should do going forward.
I have a question. We have a good neighbor program. So that may get, the semantics may get, or titling may get confusing for some people. NSD has a good neighbor program. It's several weeks, and it's about improvements of your neighborhood and what to do. And so I think we need to look at the titling for the semantics of it, or maybe it goes in to that program also.
From Venezuela, Councilwoman Pastor, that's a great comment. NSD is part of our partnership group of this. You know, we have multiple city departments that are there, and so this really is what some other cities call that, and we would have to then learn from that, have discussion with the committee, and then figure out exactly how we put that in. And so maybe it makes the most sense to be underneath. Maybe it's a different name. We'll kind of see how that goes, but it's a great comment for us to consider as we move forward.
But it's, I guess also I'm looking at it in a very holistic way of curriculum. So it could also be embedded maybe in the curriculum that is done for the Good Neighbor program, so that then neighbors understand and are aware and know what guess, rights and responsibilities, or what it means to be a good neighbor. So you might even just, even though it may be separate, you might embed it in the curriculum.
Yeah, that's a great comment and is all the more relevant when you think of some of the other recent statutory changes at the state level regarding Airbnbs and short-term rentals. I mean, that's where a number of these things are coming into play, and so I think that's a great comment.
Thank you.
As, at the conclusion of this process, are you going to be able to come up with some suggestions for legislation at the Capitol in the new session? I know we have some legislators that are very interested in this and helping us process this, as well as other cities who are struggling with these homes.
Yeah, Chairman Valenzuela, Councilman Williams, yes. We have not lost sight of the fact that really the state should be licensing these sober living homes. The reality is that they license all the other group homes and they certify some standard of care inside of those, and that's the best place to make that happen. So I have had discussions with our InterGov about the state and federal level, because there is some federal legislation out there, and with our federal lobbyist team as well to help support that. So they're working at that level. On the statewide front, I actually had lunch with Representative McGee yesterday and some of the TAP neighborhood folks to talk about this particular issue. I know that Councilwoman Stark has had other discussions with other council members as well. And then I believe the League of Arizona Cities and Towns just passed a resolution at their meeting a couple weeks back to make this a priority issue for the league as a whole going into the next legislative cycle.
So you're telling me that you're going to come back with a Plan A and a Plan B. Plan A is what we legally can do, knowing that there's restrictions out there. And Plan B would be removing some of those restrictions and taking it to the legislative entities that control the destiny of these group homes?
Well, we haven't yet finalized those, but I think what we will come forward with is some options for the council to consider. And so those options will be if the city does a licensing scenario in some fashion, this is how it could work. And that's why we've been in close contact with the clerk's department, with neighborhood services, to try and figure out how could that work if that's the direction the council wants to go. We will also are pursuing that state option as well. And so that will be part of what we come back with is this package that will probably include a few zoning changes, a potential license scenario, but then also that state level. And then the council can direct us how they wish to proceed from there, because the licensing scenarios that the city currently employs aren't something that lend itself well to this type of a licensing program. And so it would have to be something that would be created anew to have a residential group home license that would effectively apply of saying everyone has to have a license to operate a group home in Phoenix. You either show us your license by the state or you comply with these requirements if you're not licensed by the state. That's similar to what Prescott does, with their sober living ordinance. And so that isn't a scenario we could do, but that does require additional staff to deal with the paperwork application, all that stuff, and then the enforcement side on the back end of that also has some challenges. And so that's what we're working through to bring the council some options in the fall.
My concern is that if we license them, which I'm for, but it's not our responsibility to monitor the services that are provided. That is a state or county. They have the expertise. I don't think the city ought to get into that business. I think they should incorporate it into what their process is. So I'm glad to hear what where you're headed and the options that you're going to bring back, because I just think it's important that these homes are raising havoc in many, many neighborhoods, and I hear it all the time. But I also know the city does not have the expertise or the staffing levels to really handle this. And I want to make sure that we're not getting in too far into what should be somebody else's responsibility. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also want to thank you. This is a topic that we're all very interested in throughout the city. And to your point, I have the honor to represent Phoenix at the Arizona League of Cities and Towns. So 91 representatives from around the state sitting around a table a couple of weeks ago talking about this option or this topic, and I made the motion for the resolution that did pass because we need. I agree that this needs to be monitored at the state. You know, if it's something that has to do with health services does quite a bit, but if it's something to do with health services, that's at the state. This kind of thing should be regulated at the state. It's not, but we also need federal guidelines as well. And so the resolution is not just for advocating for state policies, but also federal policies. Now, while we work with our community leaders here locally on a potential text amendment, you know, the question keeps coming up, so I'll ask you, Ellen, because you know, I get questions all the time from people who are part of the group and just neighbors. While we're waiting on a text amendment, are we still, you know, I mean, obviously people are still getting what they need to start a sober living facility, right? And is there anything that we can do that could stop those in the time that it takes to actually present something, a moratorium, if you will, so that way, you know, some of that movement stops while we're working on this issue? I don't know what the legalities are there, if we're allowed to do it. What are your thoughts on that?
Chairman Valenzuela, members of the subcommittee. So there are a couple of the TAP neighbors, as you noted, who have talked about a moratorium. There is a city in California that enacted a moratorium. I have asked the law department to review the possibility of that at the request of Councilwoman Stark. It was someone in her district that was part of the TAP group that raised that issue. And so I have asked the law department for an opinion on that. And once we have that, I will share that with the council.
I appreciate that. That a lot of people are, and we'll be sure to get it out as well as soon as we have that information, because I'm sure we've all been asked that question. So we'll look forward to that answer. Okay, so this is just for information, no action required on this one.
Mr. Chair.
Yep. Oh, we have Councilman Nowakowski on the line. Yep.
Thank you so much. I just want to thank Alan. I got that list of individuals that are on that committee, and that you included some of the sober living individual practices. So thank you so much for including them in this group.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilman. All right, we don't have any cards. We don't need a motion. It's not an item that's up for action. Any questions or comments? No further comments from my colleagues. Thank you so much for all the work that you're putting into this, Ellen, and the team. Appreciate it. Okay, so this is the last call to the public. We have no cards for this. Future agenda items. We do have a list before us. If anyone would like to take a look, and that'd be a good time to add or request any future agenda items for the subcommittee.
Well, if you'd like something really fun and very positive, you might have Sky Harbor come and talk about the new buddy system out there.
It is. I noticed you have playing cards over at your office
do,
with
and-
lots of pets.
Quite a variety of therapy dogs, and the staff did a great job, and I really appreciate all those navigators taking the time, the effort. All those dogs are certified as therapy dogs, and they are adorable. And not just the navigators themselves, but the dogs too. Thank you.
Thank you. We will add that. It's a good item to have, and I
We'll
just want
bring
you to
the
know.
four-legged versions with us also? Of course, okay.
Mia
Just wanted to
from-
make sure.
I want to confess, Mia from our office is collecting some of those cards because she's who doesn't love pets, but she loves what you're doing there. So thank you for your leadership.
Yeah, they're in the process of getting them all photographed, and they all have their own little cards they give out to the people, so.
So Yeah. So we'll definitely add that, and I think it's good for all of us to know what's going on at the airport. So at this point, we would be adjourning the meeting, but we have someone at the mic.
Yes, with your permission, Councilman Valenzuela and members.
So ma'am, what we're going to do is go ahead and speak, but before you leave, you can fill out a yellow card for public comment at the end,
Thank you.
and just for our record. Okay?
Well, my question is item number 9. Could you clarify why that was moved?
I ask for a motion. We have in that particular area that happens to be in District 8, led by Councilwoman Gallego, who I know has been very close to the topic.
Yes.
She was expecting to be here to
Yes.
listen to the item. Want to extend that courtesy to our colleague.
Yes.
And of course, Councilman Nowakowski called in, and we're glad he did.
Yes.
Certainly his prerogative to do that.
Yes.
But in fairness to all of our colleagues who are interested in this, I felt that it would be appropriate to move this item to next month so we could properly post it as a special meeting so that both council members, but other council members, if they wish to be here and part of this conversation, we wanted to do that. And so rather than, so that's why we asked to have it postponed to next month.
So then it would be information item or action item? What would it be?
This month, it was an informational item. Next month, we expect that it'll remain to be an informational item.
And then it will go to the subcommittee again for action? Or how does that
That would
procedure
be-
work?
That would be the typical process. We would come back for action, and then, of course, to the full council.
So therefore, the date on that meeting will be when?
Do we have that
I'm
date yet?
happy to talk with her
Yeah,
after the
so
meeting, give her all the dates and
Ms. Janovich, our
information.
Deputy City Manager, and the person who oversees this subcommittee from the staff side will be sure to get you all the information. But those dates are always properly posted in advance, so everyone has that. So we'll be sure that you have it
I'll tell you.
before you leave, but for everyone else's benefit, they're always properly posted online,
It's
and we
October 4th.
send information out.
October 4th.
Is it October 4th? Well, there you have it.
October 4th.
October 4th.
October 4th.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's information item?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Councilman.
No, thank you so much for being
Thank you.
here. We look forward to seeing you as we move forward. Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.